All right. So, I've got about 600 miles on this bike, maybe a little more. But I've been chasing an air leak ever since I installed and started running the damn thing. So, I'm going to, as you can see, I've stuck orange Permatex, all around the carburetor side where it hooks onto the intake. It's completely sealed up. There's no air getting in there. I know that. However, when I spray ether around this area, especially underneath, it picks up RPM a little bit. And then I noticed that the front gasket's leaking a little bit. It's a cheap gasket that's in there. It's the one that comes with this clone fat belly pipe. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace it with a better quality gasket. I know you can get a, what is it, the guy from the YouTube channel Motored Life, I can't remember what his name is offhand right now, but anyways, he gave everybody a shout out to a gasket that works from a Toyota Land Rover or a Cruiser, or I can't remember what it was called. I'd have to look up his video and actually make another video to like get back to you guys on that one, or respond in a comment or something. Anyways, yeah, I just put the cheap gasket that came with this pipe on there, so I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, I lost train of thought. But anyways, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to take this intake, I'm going to bust it loose from the cylinder, and then the exhaust, I'm going to bust that loose from the cylinder. Split them apart, clean up the surfaces, put new gaskets on. I'm going to Permatex this side. A thin layer, but I'm going to Permatex this side for sure. That is actually a good trick to help you keep your gaskets in line. You get your Permatex and you Permatex this side, and then you stick a gasket on it, let it sit for a little bit so that it gets tacky, and then Permatex the other side and let that sit for a little bit so it gets tacky. Then mate these two surfaces and tighten it down a little bit. Don't tighten it down all the way. Like, I mean, you want to go till where it's starting to squish out orange stuff, but then wait for an hour or two and then come out and do your final tight down. This, if you do it right, does not need to be super tight. As a matter of fact, you need to watch out because you will strip out the threads in these cheap aluminum die-cast cylinders faster than you would. Yeah, it's bad. I've busted a couple exhaust side studs out. It's not fun. If you're lucky, it just strips the thread or breaks the bolt off, because then you can drill it, put some hexi coil in there, or tap it out, you know. But if you're not lucky, it busts the whole housing out and you gotta replace the whole cylinder. It's just a pain in the butt. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. It's all pretty easy stuff to do, but regardless, as you will see here, I'm sure, as I start doing this, I painted this motor with a different intake on it. So the screws are black, cylinder is black, but the intake is not. So, like I said, I was chasing that air leak. So it was a process of going through a couple different intakes. I was assuming that maybe there was a hairline fracture in one of the intakes and it was leaking when it got hot. But I don't know. I don't believe that's the case anymore. I think it's just the mating surfaces here are just not sealing properly. Sealing up. So this one's going to be a butt. So what I do for that one, seeing how all this other crap's in the way and I don't want to take it out, I'm obviously not going to take my carb off. I don't want to unhook the fat belly pipe over here on this side. Oh, that's what was rattling like a son of a bitch. Oh, that's awesome. So where this fat belly pipe hooks up to the motor to mount it up here, give it support, it has vibration has snapped the bracket. I don't know if that's a common problem people have, but you know, and I thought these YD100s were supposed to come with a better balanced crank. That's one of the reasons I was drawn to it, that and the fact that it's a larger displacement. But turns out, yeah, it's just not the case. I apologize for the video quality. I got the phone just sitting on my bicycle seat. Here, I'll take that off so you can actually see what we're working on. Yeah. So, like I showed you there, telling you before, I permatext the shit out of this. So, that's completely sealed off all the way around both sides. And then this, see if I can turn on my light here. This side, you can see back in here, it's wet. Oil leaking out of that exhaust gasket. So, I got run drawer. I got a thicker actual metal. It's got a layer of gasket. It's an actual exhaust gasket. It's a good one. So, but I've got to take it and with my Dremel cut it out to where it's wider, bigger, so that it'll fit the round flange of that better and seal it properly. It'll seal it properly as it is, but it'll restrict the exhaust flow. I want it to be matched to my, sorry, I'm holding my phone with the other hand. I want it to be matched to the port size. This pipe is not perfectly matched to this port size. It's unfortunate because the metal's so thin and the welds aren't very great looking, so I'm scared to get in there with my Dremel and start, you know, going to town on it, because that's right there, it gets really hot. You don't want to take it and make it too thin. You'll have an exhaust leak for sure then. But I got that, and then I got a port matched gasket here that I had on this thing, but I put the one that came with this intake on because, well, I just decided that I didn't want to deal with mating another gasket up to it because it was already permatexed onto this one. So, but my suspicion is that the gasket is too thin, because I mean, look at that tolerance right there. It's like there's no gasket there at all. So it's my suspicion that that's just too thin. It's wet on the bottom, so it's definitely leaking. You know, if it's leaking oil, it's leaking air, in my opinion. That's the way I look at it. Kind of getting roadblocked here. Oh, all right. So to finish what we were doing, I was going to show you how to get this bolt out of this side without having to. It's kind of ghetto. I wouldn't know that, but it works. So I take a crescent wrench. Let's see if I can hold this phone with my legs here. I don't know if it's going to work YouTube. I'm trying. I'm new to YouTube and I don't have good cameras for this. So I take this bit and I put it into the nut nice and firmly on that side. And then just grab it with a crescent wrench. Get it a couple turns on it. Usually you can take it out by hand after that. As long as you didn't strip it or cross thread it. I'll show you what I mean. So, sorry about the mess. That's one of my wife's little motorized bikes back there. This is her homemade hog, 212 Predator motor on it. And then this is an old motorized bike that took a crap on me. And then this is my wife's pedal bike. So let's see what's going on there, I guess.